The sun shone, children laughed, birds sang. A perfect summer day in suburbia, but beneath the surface a silent storm brewed. In the untroubled grass, between cracks in the sidewalk, a hidden world stirred. Ants, millions upon millions of them, not just moving, but organizing, communicating. A child dropped an ice cream cone. Ants swarmed, a black tide consuming the sweet treat in seconds. A subtle shift occurred. This was not ordinary hunger, but a coordinated feeding frenzy. The ants marched back to their nests, carrying their sugary bounty. They carried something else too, a plan. Days turned into weeks. The ants grew bolder, their movements became eerily synchronized, their numbers multiplying exponentially. Scientists noticed an unsettling trend. Ants displayed unprecedented problem-solving abilities, navigating complex mazes and overcoming obstacles with chilling efficiency. The scientific community buzzed with theories. Mutations, extraterrestrial influence. Regardless of the cause, the implications were clear. Ants were evolving fast. Theories gave way to fear as anecdotal stories spread like wildfire. Homeowners described ants stripping gardens bare overnight, their perfectly synchronized raids leaving behind an unsettling emptiness. Humanity fought back. Pesticides, traps, even fire, all deployed to stem the tide. The ants adapted. Chemical deterrents initially slowed them down. Soon, however, mutant strains emerged, immune to the poisons. Traps became mere speed bumps, their mechanisms easily circumvented by the ants' collective intelligence. The ants' physiology evolved too. Larger mandibles, thicker exoskeletons, they became walking tanks, impervious to conventional weapons. Desperation set in. The world watched in horror as the relentless march of the ants continued. Humanity had underestimated its adversary. The first visible cracks in human society appeared in the food supply. Fields of grain, once symbols of abundance, were stripped bare overnight. Silos, thought impenetrable, were emptied from the inside out. Supermarkets, once overflowing with food, now resembled ghost towns. Shelves stood empty, picked clean by the relentless ant hordes. Panic, buying and hoarding ensued, further crippling the already strained food chain. The news, once filled with stories of human conflict, now broadcasted images of ant invasions and dwindling food reserves. The world held its breath, bracing for the inevitable. The ants were no longer just a nuisance, they were a threat to human survival. The assault on the food supply was just the beginning. The ants turned their attention to critical infrastructure. Power grids were the first to fall. Millions of ants, their tiny bodies acting as conductors, created massive short circuits, plunging cities into darkness. The intricate network of cables and transformers, once a testament to human ingenuity, became a playground for the relentless insects. Transportation systems ground to a halt. Traffic lights blinked erratically, then went dark. Cars stalled on highways, their drivers stranded and vulnerable. The delicate balance of civilization, so reliant on electricity, crumbled. The world was plunged into chaos. The crisis escalated rapidly, catching everyone off guard. What started as a minor inconvenience quickly spiraled out of control. What began as isolated incidents morphed into a global pandemic. The ants spread with an alarming speed, infiltrating every nook and cranny of our world. No corner of the globe was spared. From the highest peaks to the deepest valleys, the ants were an unstoppable force. From the bustling metropolises of the world to the remote villages in the furthest reaches of the planet, the ants were everywhere. They invaded homes, businesses and public spaces without discrimination. Governments, once symbols of power and stability, proved powerless against the relentless tide. Policies and emergency measures failed to contain the invasion. Armies, equipped with weapons designed for human conflict, found themselves ill-equipped to combat an enemy that was both minuscule and omnipresent. Traditional warfare tactics were rendered useless. Communication networks, already strained, collapsed entirely. The ants chewed through cables and disrupted signals, severing our connections to the outside world. The internet, once a source of information and connection, went dark. Servers were compromised, and digital infrastructures crumbled under the relentless assault. Humanity was plunged into an information vacuum, isolated and afraid. People were cut off from loved ones, unable to seek help or share their plight. The world as we knew it ceased to exist. Streets once filled with life were now desolate, overrun by the tiny invaders. The collapse was complete, and a new era had begun. In the aftermath of the collapse, pockets of human survivors emerged. These were the remnants of a once thriving civilization, now reduced to small, scattered groups. Each day was a struggle, a fight to stay alive in a world that had turned hostile and unforgiving. Forced to abandon their homes and cities, they sought refuge in the ruins of the world they once knew. The towering skyscrapers and bustling streets were now silent, haunted by memories of a better time. The survivors navigated through the debris, searching for anything that could help them endure another day. Families huddled together in makeshift shelters, scavenging for scraps of food and battling off the ever-present ants. The once simple act of finding a meal had become a dangerous endeavor, fraught with peril. Every morsel of food was a precious commodity, fiercely guarded and desperately sought after. The weak and the elderly succumbed quickly, unable to survive in this harsh new reality. Their loss was a stark reminder of the fragility of life and the brutal nature of their new existence. Mourning became a common sight, as loved ones were lost to the relentless challenges of survival. The bonds of society, once strong, frayed under the constant pressure of survival. Communities that had once thrived on cooperation and mutual support now found themselves torn apart by distrust and desperation. The social fabric unraveled, leaving individuals to fend for themselves. Trust became a luxury few could afford. Every interaction was tinged with suspicion, every gesture scrutinized for hidden motives. In this new world, alliances were fragile, and betrayal was a constant threat. The rule of law was replaced by the law of the jungle, survival of the fittest. Strength and cunning became the most valuable traits, as the weak were quickly weeded out. The struggle for resources was fierce, and only the most resilient could hope to survive. Humanity, once the dominant species on the planet, was now fighting for its very existence. The world had changed, and with it, the very essence of what it meant to be human. In this desolate landscape, survival was the only goal, and every day was a battle against the odds. Years passed. The world as we knew it faded into memory, a distant echo of human civilization's once grand achievements. The initial shock and chaos subsided, replaced by a chilling new reality. The ants had won. Cities that once bustled with life were now silent, overtaken by nature and the relentless march of the ants. The planet, once dominated by human cities and sprawling infrastructure, was now a vast network of interconnected ant colonies. These colonies stretched as far as the eye could see, a testament to the ants' unyielding dominance. Fields that once yielded crops now served as foraging grounds for the relentless insects. The ants moved with purpose, their society thriving where human agriculture once stood. The remnants of humanity lived in the shadows, eking out a precarious existence in the ruins of the old world. They scavenged for food and supplies, always wary of the ants' ever-watchful presence. The lucky few found ways to coexist with the ants, learning to avoid their wrath and scavenge for resources in the cracks of their vast empire. These survivors adapted, forming small communities that lived in harmony with the new rulers of the earth. The reign of the ants was a stark reminder of the arrogance of man and the raw, untamed power of nature. It was a humbling lesson, showing that no matter how advanced humanity became, nature always had the final say. The ant uprising, though a hypothetical scenario, serves as a chilling reminder. We often view ourselves as the apex species, masters of the planet, yet beneath our feet an intricate world thrives. The ants, with their unwavering persistence, adaptability and sheer numbers, teach us a valuable lesson. We are not invincible. The natural world, though often overlooked, possesses a power that dwarfs our own. Perhaps in the end, the ants will inherit the earth, and perhaps that is as it should be.